Ergonomics is much broader than just the right chair to sit on.
Ergonomics is concerned with the interaction between people and the products and systems that they use.
Ergonomics is making sure that products are appropriate for people.
All around us we see things that people have designed to make our life simpler, more productive, more comfortable. And yet sometimes we find ourselves complaining about things like the microwave that's difficult to figure out, the shears that are hard to cut with, or the seat that doesn't fit our bodies. Ergonomics aims to solve these kinds of problems. Named after the Greek words ergo and nomos, meaning the natural laws of work, ergonomics is about matching products and tasks with people. Ergonomics is a relatively new concept. In the early days of industrialisation, getting the job done was more important than the well-being of the worker. Around the 1940s, people began to realise that work could be done more efficiently if the equipment was easier and safer to use. The science of ergonomics was born.
A key part of ergonomics is the usability of the systems we use. So when we come up to a product or system, we need to know what to do. We need to know that it fits us physically and will efficiently get the results we want. Ergonomists will configure the whole system so it works for the range of people that are going to use it, whether they're children, adults, whomever.
Many gadgets and appliances have an impressive array of features, but they can be difficult to figure out, even if you still have the instruction manual. This is frustrating, and it means that many features are wasted, because the user sticks to the simplest tasks. To make things understandable, we need to consider the way people think and interpret the information. This can be as simple as using red for stop and green for go, because that's what people are used to. It also means designing so that people can do the obvious. This video camera lets us do what comes naturally, so it requires no detailed instructions. In this design, the places you might want to push to close the camera are marked with warnings to the contrary. The right place to push is even hidden under the strap. So layout is another important factor. On this stove, it's fairly simple to relate the layout of the controls to the layout of the hot plates. Here, the layout of the controls is oriented differently to the hot plates. We have to look more carefully to see which goes with which. In the control room of a power plant or on the bridge of a container ship, there's simply no room for confusion. The signals and warnings must be easy to see and interpret, or the consequences could be disastrous.
Sit. Good boy, eh? Good.
It's your turn to feed the dog. Lucky for him, your hands are the right size for the handle on the can opener. And you're strong enough to twist the knob. But if it was your little sister's turn, or your granddad's, the dog may well be hoping for the day that you're back on the roster. The physical fit between us and our man-made environment affects us all the time. How well do our clothes fit the size and shape of our bodies? How comfortable is our furniture? Why are some things easier to grip and handle than others? How well do we fit into our workspaces? Are we working at a comfortable height? Can we reach the controls on the machinery? Are they easy to push and turn? Can we see what we're doing? If our equipment doesn't cater for our physical requirements, even something as simple as adjusting a car radio can be a difficult and dangerous task. In order to match people physically with the products and work systems they use, we need information about people's characteristics. This information comes from the field of anthropometry. The word anthropometry comes from the Greek words anthropo and metrikos, meaning the measurement of humans. Ergonomics texts like this one contain anthropometric tables that describe the size of different parts of our bodies.
We might be interested in height if we're designing a doorway. We might be interested in reach if we're designing a shelf depth.
Humans come in a range of shapes and sizes, so the anthropometric tables provide data for the small people in a group, known as the 5th percentile, the centre of the range, or the 50th percentile, and the larger end of the scale, or the 95th percentile.
If we're designing a doorway, we need to know the very big person. If we're designing how deep a shelf is, we probably want to know what the reach is of the very small person.
But it isn't always that simple. To design a seat that suits most people, we need to consider the lower leg length of smaller people for the seat height and the hip breadth of larger people for the seat width. Now, what about the table? If we make it too high, most people have to raise their forearms and arch their wrists in order to reach their plate. So here we need to match seat height, table height, and the sitting height of the user. Factors such as age, gender, and even ethnic background influence the size of our bodies. So when we're using anthropometric data, we need to take into account the population we're designing for. Whenever we handle objects or equipment, we need to use a certain amount of force. To find out how much force people can comfortably exert in different situations, designers need information about the biomechanics of the human body. Say we're designing a pedal mechanism. We need data that tell us how hard people can push with their legs at different angles. For a knob or handle, we can look up how people's turning strength is affected by the handle diameter. The handles on tools are designed to be used with a neutral wrist position, as shown here, because this gives us maximum grip strength and comfort. But even the best designs can't compensate for the way people use a product. These awkward postures reduce our strength and increase the risk of injury. This is a healthy sitting posture, in which our spine forms an S-shaped curve. Often we slump into a C shape because this is easier than sitting up straight. This puts unhealthy pressure on the vertebrae in our spine. But even if we are conscious of our posture, we eventually get tired. This is because the human body is not designed for maintaining a fixed position or for performing repetitive tasks. The way to overcome this problem is by taking regular breaks. So ergonomics can depend as much on the attitude of the user as on the skills of the designer.
In designing new products, we need to use ergonomics to make sure we get the right result, that we get products and systems that work for people in the way they expect. Of course, there are other constraints that we have to work with when we're designing new products. The product we're going to use will have to be manufactured at a certain cost and use certain processes and materials. The designer's role is to balance all these requirements out, but the key thing is to keep incorporating the ergonomic information, aspects of the design that are important for people and the way they'll use the product.
These products look fairly simple, but they pose quite a challenge in terms of ergonomic design because they have to suit many different people.
This is more than just a can opener. This is part of a food storage and preparation system. The range of people that might use a can opener can be very broad. The question is, can one solution that's not adjustable fit every situation and do the best job possible?
This model is familiar to many people, but it requires considerable strength on the handle to grip and puncture the can, and strength in the fingers to drag the blade through the metal. But how much strength can we expect the user to have?
The source of that information might be a data book like this. Body space here will tell us something about grip strength. So ergonomists have done research about the strength of people gripping things, but what about that twisting action? I'm not aware of anthropometric data or ergonomics data that will give us that information about how hard people can twist a wing nut like this. For this we might have to do some testing. People who've done this have come up with alternatives to this.
This model has large handles that are easier to grip and a gear system and rotary blade that cuts the can more easily.
That means a bigger range of people can do the job. That's design. That's good design.
Now, what about understandability? Here's another similar can opener.
We'll have the black and the white. Same sort of product, same configuration, nicely styled. There's been a designer involved here. If I try to use this can opener in the same way I would expect to use this one, I'll be making a mistake. I'll get frustrated and I won't get the can open because it operates a different way. In this case, the packaging is also providing some information that's going to be useful to the user.
The package also carries a warning because this can opener removes the whole lid, leaving a sharp edge that's not immediately obvious.
One has to ask though, what happens when the packaging is thrown away and we're just left with this in the top drawer of the kitchen?
Adjustability is often used by designers to allow us to cope better with the range of users we're trying to design for.
This is more important in some situations than others.
If we're travelling on a train, we're only doing that for a short length of time, so the adjustability of the seat is not that critical. With office chairs, which we're using for up to 8 hours a day, for every day of the week, then we need to consider adjustability as a solution to the problem. Also in offices, people change workstations quite regularly, so the one set of furniture might be used by many people.
If the height of the desk is fixed, and usually it is, we need to adjust the seat height to suit the height of the work surface. If we're typing, we need an angle of around 90 degrees at the elbow, the most comfortable position for our forearms. If this seat height is too high for our lower leg, we can tilt the seat forward to relieve pressure under our thighs. And if we're still not comfortable, we can use a footrest to adjust the height of the floor. It's also useful to have an adjustable backrest. Correctly positioned, the backrest helps us to maintain a healthy spinal curve when we lean back in the seat. By introducing extra components, adjustability often increases cost. In this luxury car, the electronically controlled driver's seat and steering column can be adjusted in various ways. Notice how the layout of the controls also makes them easy to understand. And for the ultimate inconvenience, different users can set their favourite position. These features make for a comfortable ride, but they come with a hefty price tag. In the sporting arena, the way we fit with our equipment can mean the difference between winning and losing. This was the inspiration for a new type of cycle shoe designed by former triathlete Ian Beryl.
The idea behind this project was to have a look at the task of triathlon, in particular the transition system between swimming and the ride leg.
Many triathletes choose to have their cycle shoes pre-clipped onto their bikes. But with the current shoe design, it's very difficult to get your foot into the shoe quickly while you're trying to race. Ian talked to triathletes about this problem.
The most important finding was that the shoe has to be easy to close. When you come out of the transition system, you're tired because you've been swimming. When you're tired, you don't think as straight. The task of doing up the Velcro strap, putting your foot in, becomes much harder than you think it should be.
Ian then came up with several alternative design options. This is a prototype of the design that offered the best combination of ergonomics, manufacturability, and high-tech good looks.
As per the current triathlon system, the shoe is pre-clipped onto the bike pedal. The difference in this system is that you can put your foot straight in the shoe. As it hangs like this, quite an easy task. The way this is possible is through these cables. They enable a huge opening to allow for the person to put their foot in basically without looking. Then once the foot is in the shoe, it's just a simple case of pulling this lever and the whole upper of the shoe clasps the foot and is tightly set in.
Importantly, you can hear and feel the lever click into its home position so you know when the shoe is secure. Another issue is one of fit. In doing up the Velcro strap, riders can make their shoes too tight or too loose. This creates discomfort which can slow the riders down.
With this shoe, it contains 3 Velcro straps. Before the race, you put your foot in the shoe, you do up the 3 straps to the exact tension that you require, and then when you do shoe up in the race, it'll close to that exact tension.
Ian's shoe certainly looks like a promising solution. Now he faces the challenge of finding a backer who will help take his design from prototype to product.